What if I told you that the way you feel about your writing life right now, whether it's a constant struggle or it's a source of joy, isn't random? There's one hidden choice shaping everything about your writing experience. And the best part, once you see this choice you're making, it makes everything easier. Don't believe me? Stay tuned to this video. I'm about to give you several examples of certain kinds of choices that writers make all the time. You'll see that they all have something in common. Number one, you hesitate to start a project because you're afraid it won't be good enough. Number two, you put off finishing your book because what if people hate it? What if no one buys it? Number three, you avoid talking about your book because you don't want to sound pushy. Number four, you compare yourself to other writers and feel like you're always behind. So this is a different set. See if you can see what these have in common. Number one, you write a story that excites you without worrying whether it's good enough. Number two, you finish and release your book because you want to share it with the world. Number three, you talk about your book with enthusiasm because you genuinely believe in it. Number four, you celebrate other writers' successes without feeling like it takes away from your own. So again, think about what these have in common. And I imagine that you have some ideas in mind, but you may be surprised at what I'm going to reveal to you here next. Okay, so considering these two sets of statements, you probably did notice that the first set of statements was a little more negative than the second set. But that's not the one thing I was talking about. What is the one thing you need to know that is shaping your writing life right now that you may not even realize is shaping your writing life? Here it is. Every choice you make in your writing career comes from one of two places, and that is either fear or love. That first set of statements, all driven by fear. Second set of statements, all driven by love. Let me explain what I mean. A fear-based decision comes from a place of scarcity. We feel like we don't yet have enough. We aren't yet enough. So every decision we make in our day-to-day writing lives reflects that fear and naturally becomes negative. If you think about the decisions you're making every day as to whether you sit down and write and how you feel when you sit down and write and what you're thinking about when you sit down and write. Are you thinking about how much you love this story and how happy you are that you have some time to work on it? Or are you thinking about how you're afraid it's not going to work out and how nobody's going to like it and nobody's going to buy it and the book's not going to be very good? When you start to think of it this way, it's really kind of magical because you can tell instantly whether you are acting or reacting from a place of love or from a place of fear. And if you're in a place of fear and you identify that, then you can easily switch that to a place of love. When you make decisions from a place of love, then you feel the sense of possibility. You write because you love it, not because you're worried about how people will respond to it. Love-based decisions feel light and energizing. They make you want to create and share and connect. Fear-based decisions feel heavy and they create anxiety and pressure. So if you're coming from a fear-based place, you might ask, what if I fail? If you come from a love-based place, you say, what if this is fun? Fear says you have to. Love says, I get to. You feel the difference? Fear whispers, you're not good enough. Love says, you're enough just as you are. Create from what you have. Fear says, what if this story is bad? Love says, what if I discover something amazing? Fear says, what if it's not ready? Love says, let's just give it a try and see what happens. Fear says, what if they don't like it? Love says, what if this story is exactly what someone out there needs? You're starting to see the difference, right? So let's talk about how you can choose which side to be on in your day-to-day writing life and how that can make a huge difference in how you're feeling about your writing right now. If you want a happier, more joyful writing life, which I think we all want, ask yourself, where are most of my daily writing decisions coming from? And I want you to think about every decision you make in the day, whether or not you're going to write, what project you're going to work on, what you're going to think about as you're working on that project. All these things are decisions we make sometimes without even thinking about it. But we do feel the emotions that are related to those decisions. We do feel either the heaviness of fear or the lightness of love. If you're feeling the heaviness of fear, you have the power to shift to the lightness of love. So how do you do that? Sometimes it's as simple as changing your inner dialogue. Instead of saying, I have to write for half an hour, you can say, I get to work on my story. Instead of saying, this story is not very good and people aren't going to like it, say, wow, I've got half a book done already. What can I do to make it even better? Instead of saying, this book isn't selling very many copies, you can say, hey, I sold 5 copies. That's 5 people that might love this book. You don't have to delude yourself. It's not about necessarily taking a Pollyanna attitude, which I understand it can sound like it's like that. It's not like that. It's allowing yourself to operate from a different place that feels better and more motivating and more uplifting. You can celebrate the progress you've made instead of focusing too much on every single little flaw. When you remind yourself to think and decide from a place of love when it comes to your writing, you may be surprised at how much better it makes your life. Your writing can become yours again. It can become a space of joy and self-expression rather than this constant battle with self-doubt. So I invite you this week to give this a try. The first sign you get that maybe fear is ruling the roost, I invite you to see if you can shift gears over to love and see how that changes things for you. If you try this, let me know how it goes in the comments. I'd love to hear. In the meantime, if you find this video helpful, please like and subscribe. That helps me to continue making more videos like this. And thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.